You're going to love this. Trust me.
Yo, Dragon Ball Junkies, what is up? Thank you for coming back by the channel. My name is Josh. Today, I've got another Dragon Ball Super Card Game deck list video for you guys. This is my Dabura Xeno from set 16, Realm of the Gods, dropping very soon. My deck list, it was a tough deck to build. I think I got something decent here though, so let's check it out right now. Alright guys, we are here at DBS Deck Planet, the best website where you can build Dragon Ball Super Card Game decks and get a lot of other information and things like that. Check out other people's decks. So I'll put a link in the description. You guys can check out this website. It's a really cool site. But this is my Dabura Xeno deck. So basically Dabura and Demon God Dabura Diabolical Awakening. This is Xeno Dabura. His auto on the unawakened side, when this card attacks, look at up to 5 cards on the top of your deck, add up to 1 black evil wizard, demon realm race, or demon god all black card, add them among them to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So that's a top 5 search. You're more than likely going to hit. We have a lot of cards that fit that description. So you can whiff, but more than likely you're going to hit. And then your awakening is either at 4 or less life, as is usual. Or if your opponent's leader card's back is facing up. So if your opponent awakens early, you can awaken early. And when you awaken, you draw 2 cards, and then you add cards from your life to your hand until you have 4 life left, and flip this card over. So if you awaken early, you're going to get a big amount of draw. You're going to draw 2. You know, say you awaken at 8, you're going to draw 4 cards off your life. You're going to get a big boost to your hand, but it's going to be at the cost of losing some life. So just remember that. You have to go down to 4 when you awaken. On our awakened side, when this card attacks, draw a card. Pretty basic. And then activate main once per turn for 1 black. Play up to 1 black Unison card with no specified cost and 20,000 power from your drop area with a marker on it in rest mode. And at the end of the turn, send that card to your owner's warp. So what this is good for is we have a lot of spirit boost happening in the deck. So we want to make sure we have a lot of 20k Unisons with no specified cost. And we're going to want to play them out like normal and have their markers. But if our opponent kills them, which our opponent's going to want to do because a lot of our plays rely on spirit boost. If our opponent kills them, then every turn we can play 1 energy to play it out from our drop. And then instead of just letting it die at the end, go back to the warp at the end of the turn, we're going to use our spirit boost to kill it. At the end of the turn, send that card to its owner's warp. So I believe that would also mean that if I never used this skill in my gameplay that I've done of the deck in my testing. I was always able to just keep a 20k Unison on the board when I played with the deck. But if you can't, this is pretty clutch. But what I'm wondering is, so you use the skill, you play it from your drop area, and then you spirit boost, your Unison dies, it goes to your drop area. At the end of your turn, does it still go from the drop area to the warp? I'm pretty sure it would. Let me know in the comment section if you know, but I'm pretty sure if you spirit boost and kill it to the drop, you would still have to take it from your drop to your warp. So you can't keep doing this with the same card, but that's okay because we run lots of Unisons with 20k power and 0 specified cost. And then we have activate battle once per turn, spirit boost 1. This card gets 6,000 power for the battle. 6,000 is a cool number because it's basically 10k. It's almost like you're gaining 10k power because when your opponent's trying to combo out of attacks, it's the same as if they had to combo 10. They've got a combo 10 instead of, well, I don't know. 6k is cool. Anyway, like what they normally would just have to do 5k to get over the 5k, they now have to do an extra 5k. But we shall continue. First, let's look at our Unisons. I'm going to go to screenshot view because it's bigger. So our Unisons are 20k, no specified cost Unisons. The Dark Mecha King Mecha Core Might Inconceivable is the Unison that comes with the archetype in the next set. We've got 4 of those. It's got Empower Black for 2. If this card replaces a black Unison card as it enters play, it carries over 2 of its markers. So if you have one of these with 2 markers on it, and then you could play another one for free and get the 2 markers from that. So you can do the effects twice. Permanent If this card has 3 or fewer markers, it can't attack. We got to remember that. We won't be able to swing with this big 20k. Auto once per turn. When you play a black Demon Realm race card using swap, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, energy cost of 3 or less, and send it to its owner's warp. Always remember to use this effect because you will be swapping a lot. That's what this deck is. This deck is a swap spirit boost deck. It's a new unique form of swap though, and it's tough. It's tough to play with this deck. So I'll get into that. It has an activate main. Excuse me. Activate main for 1. Choose 1 card in your hand, place it at the bottom of your deck, then draw a card. We're going to be doing that a lot to plus our Unison. Then we've also got this Toa. This Toa is cool. It can attack if it has 2 or fewer markers on it. When one of your opponent's battle cards is removed from their battle area by a skill or KO'd, we get to add a marker to this. So this can get markers up pretty high, especially in a deck like this. For 0, plus 0, we choose 1 card in your hand and discard it. Choose 1 card of an opponent's battle card, energy cost of 3 or less, send it to its owner's warp. So we do this plus 0, and then that triggers this, so we get the marker anyway. We get minus 4 to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and gain control of it. This does not ignore barrier, but it has no energy restriction, so you can basically steal any of your opponent's cards for that minus 4. It's very good. Those are our Unisons. Now let's go over basically the generic cards. We've got 1 Petrification. We need things to extend the game because this deck is very resource what's the word I'm looking for? You need resource. You need a lot of energy. You need a lot of hand power to do your plays, and it kind of takes a while for this deck to start taking off. So we've got to get through the early turns. We've got to stretch the game. So you know, we've got the Petrification. We've got the Power Burst at 3. We've got the Bardock, one of those. Bardock Tenacious, that's a good floodgate. The secret rare we're using is Pan Time Patrol Maiden. Originally, I was testing out the new Brainwash Supreme Kai, but it costs 1 energy for the floodgate. Again, this deck is resource reliant. You need your resources, so the Pan is better because it's free. Thank you, Mario, for that tip. That was a good idea. And then, of course, we have to have 4 Oceana Shenron. When I first built this deck, I was struggling with it because I was like, I need a floodgate. I don't have a floodgate. You can't use, you know, you can't use the Pan Xeno floodgate because that's just for Trunks. You can't use the Poutine floodgate because that's just for Mechikabura. And then I remembered Oceanus. Oceanus Shenron. It doesn't really shut down combat, but your opponent's not going to want to swing through this much because they will mill themselves out. Great floodgate and a blocker, so we had to put 4 of those in there. And that is pretty much all the generic stuff. Then we've also got a Bardock fighting against Fate. We've got a Koitsukai because when it's time for us to kill, we can go very aggro. We can get a lot of swings. So we want to punish our opponent if they play a floodgate on that turn. We want to punish them. Another thing that would be good in here that I just haven't found room for because this is at 55, Super Kamehameha. Again, to stop their floodgates, because when we decide we're going to kill, we're going to swing a lot. We're going to have a wide board with a lot of swings. So we want to be able to stop their floodgates. So Super Kamehameha instead of Koitsukai might be good. Those two are kind of interchangeable. I like the Koitsukai because it's a battle card and it lets us do some hand fixing. But the Super Kamehameha is very good too. Now, let's get into the archetype. Well, first, super combos. We got 2 of the Vegetas and 2 of these new Dabura promos. I will explain that in just a second. Let's talk about the archetype. So, one thing I think is necessary for this deck, I almost feel like this deck is built for this card, is Mechikabura the King Summons. You pretty much got to run this card in the deck. It's 2 costs. You take a life, and you send 1 card from your opponent's drop area to their warp. That's good. But then you play 2 black battle cards with Evil Wizard, Demon Realm Race, energy cost of 2, and different character names that aren't Mechikabura from your deck, then shuffle your deck. So because of this, this is why, because of this card, this lets us get out 2 of our starting swap chains. So we can get out our Toa, and we can get out our Dabura. So we go with the Toa chain, the Dabura chain, and the Poutine chain. Now the Poutine starts with a 1 cost. So this one we run at 4 because this one we don't have any way to get it out of the deck except our leader will search it. But basically this one we just pay 1 energy. It's a 1 cost. It's also a searcher. When this card is played, look at up 3 cards. You can get a Unison card or one of your Toas, Daburas, all that stuff, Mechikaburas. So it's a searcher. It's a 1-drop. It also goes into the swap chain. One thing about all these swap cards is we're going to have to spirit boost, and we're going to have to discard a card in order to swap. So that's why I was saying this deck, you're going to need lots of energy to do your stuff. You're going to need lots of cards in your hand to do your stuff. The biggest problem with this deck is draw power. But late game, you kind of tend to build up cards. So if you can stretch the game, you can do well with it. But you're also going to need a Unison on the board to spirit boost. So let's go through the Poutine chain because it's kind of separate, and then we'll talk again about the King Summons and what we're doing with that. But so the Poutine chain, we go for the 1-drop, and then we can swap. We do the swap. We can go into a black Poutine card with the energy cost of 3. We have a lot of choices for that. Our best choice is going to be this one. This is a blocker. We could also overwhelm it out for 1 energy, which you may take advantage of that. But if you swap into it, when this card is played from your hand, play 1 Demon Realm Soldier token, and then activate battle. Once per turn, choose 1 of your Demon Realm Soldier tokens and remove it from the game. Draw a card, then switch this card to active mode, and it gets 10,000 power for the battle. So we can swing with this. Then we activate battle. We get rid of the token that it just played out. We get to untap it. It's now a 25k attack, and then we can swing again for another 15k attack. So basically this card, for no energy, if we swap into it, gives us, we get to draw a card to replace the card that we had to pitch from our 1-drop Poutine. We get a 25k attack, then a 15k attack, or a 25k attack, and then we leave it standing for its blocker ability. So that's pretty good. We have 3 of those. Then we have a 2-2 split between these two. This is the new promo. It's a blocker also. It's got Overwhelm. A lot of these swap cards, you have to remember you can also Dark Overwhelm them out. So if you don't have the card on board to do the swap, or you don't have a Unison out to do the spirit boost, you can still play these. You're just going to have to overwhelm, Dark Overwhelm. And then auto, when this card is played from your hand, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards and it costs 4 or less, switch it to active mode and gain control of it. This is pretty good. This is a good Poutine that we can get off a 1-drop. And then also this card, Poutine the Dark Sorcery. Usually you see this in yellow decks. We put it in here because we do not get this ability. It is a barrier card. It has unique. We only have 2 of them. We don't get this card because our leader card is not yellow, so we don't get to play it out for free if something is rested. But we can play it off of our 1-drop Poutine, and we get this auto. When your opponent plays a battle card using a skill or activates a counter skill, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. So, it's pretty cool. And it's an evil wizard, so it's searchable off our leader, all the good stuff. We can't play it off of King Summons because it's the 3 cost. But basically this, you just jam 2 of them in here because you can go into it with swap off your 1-drop Poutine, and you get this skill. And it's a great skill. Once you have 1 of these on the board, your opponent's going to be unhappy. And they're not going to expect it in a black deck. So that's pretty good. Now let's go into our other 2 chains, the Toa chain and the Dabura chain. So again, we go King Summons. If we have to, we pay 2 for these, but King Summons lets us get a Toa and a Dabura. So that's why we only do 3 and 3, because we can grab these out of our deck off King Summon, so we don't need to run 4 and 4 of them. And basically both of them have on play effects. When this card is played, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand, send it to the warp. If they don't, choose 1 of your opponent's leader cards in rest mode, or up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and cost 4 less in rest mode. Can't attack for the turn. That's pretty good. So they're either going to lose a card or they're going to get something locked down. This is swap 4. It goes into a 4-cost Dabura, which is this guy. And when this card is played, draw a card. Your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand, sends it to their warp. So it's kind of like a +2. You're drawing, they're discarding. But again, every time we do these swaps, we have to choose a card in our hand and place it at the bottom of our deck. We have to spirit boost. So again, it's going to be tough. You got to have cards in your hand to pitch. You will get them back when you go into your next card, but early game, if you have a small hand, it's going to be hard to do these swap plays. You want to wait till you kind of develop some hand size till a little later in the game, and that's also a good thing why we draw 2 off our leader when we awaken, things like that. Saiyan Instincts in this deck would be good. Just a thought, just to give it some draw power, but I think you'd want to cut some other things, which it's a tight It's a type build right here that I got. Another cool thing is this Dabura. The reason we run a 2-2 split in super combos is because this Dabura can be searched from our deck and played onto the field off of King Summons. And this Dabura also has swap. So basically, we can use the King Summons, we can search out our super combo, and then we can swap into this guy. We get our super combo back into our hand, and then we're able to use it. We do not draw a card when we super combo with this, but it is a free 10k that lets us do our swap plays, and it's searchable off the King Summon. So that's kind of good. That's why we went with a 2-2 split here. May not be the best choice, but I wanted to give it a try. It's a new promo, or no, it's actually not a promo. It's in the set 16, but I just thought that was cool that we could search our super combo off King Summon. So that's pretty good. And then last but not least, our Toa chain. When the Toa plays, it's a searcher. So we play it off of our King Summons. We get to search 3. We get to grab something or a Unison. And then we Spirit Boost. Same thing. We're going to have to choose a card in our hand. We're going to have to Spirit Boost. We're going to have to swap. We get this card back to our hand. And we go into our bigger Toas. This Toa is freaking awesome. It's a dual attack. When it's played from your hand, draw a card. Your opponent may choose 2 of their battle cards and or cards in their hand, send them to their owner's warp. If your opponent sent 1 or fewer cards, choose up to 1 of your Unison cards with 4 or more markers on it and gain control of it. The only thing that kind of sucks about this is if your opponent does not have a Unison out when you do this, your opponent can just choose not to get rid of anything, and you can't do anything about it. So you're kind of going to want to make sure they have a Unison on board when you do this. But it lets you gain control of Unisons you normally would not be able to play. Unison cards with 4 or more markers on it and gain control of it. If you're playing against blue, you get to steal their boo. That's freaking awesome. I haven't done that, but you could do it. You could steal the Majin Buu Unison from a blue player with this card. That's pretty good. And then you swap into this, and then for 2 energy, you can You could also EX Evolve it for 2 energy. If you don't want to do the Spirit Boost and the pitching and all that, you can EX Evolve it instead of swapping it. And that is pretty much all the chains. The Toa, the Dabura, the Poutine. We've gone over everything. That's pretty much everything. I talked about I threw 1 Bardock Fighting Against Fate in here because I always throw 1 Bardock Fighting Against Fate. Oh, and then the last thing that we'll talk about. Also, this is a generic card. I got 1 of those in there just for a little extra defense. This is the new counterattack that plays out the blocker token. We can activate this for free if we have 5 life by taking a life. So pretty good card. Just 1 in here because we've got a lot of negates because we need to stretch the game out for this deck. But last but not least, we jammed 2 of these in here. Why, you may ask? Well, because this card's freaking awesome. And basically what we want to do is we want to combo this off as soon as we see it, get it into our drop area, and then we want to use one of any of our overrealms to, once we have at least 8 cards in our drop area, we want to use any of our overrealms. That way this goes into our warp with the other 8 cards, and then we can play this for 2 energy from our warp. We get a deflect dual attacker, and we can swing with it, and we can move cards back and forth between our warp and our drop to continue to be able to do overwhelm skills. 2 of these cards in the deck is great, and it's just a great aggro card for 2 energy. The turn that we decide to go ham, we can get a lot of swings, guys. Just check out my gameplay video. You get 2 swings off this. You swing with this, then you swap. You get 2 swings off this. You have a Poutine out. You swing 2 swings with this. You swing 2 swings with this. Then you overwhelm something. You swing 2 swings with this. It's very, very much attack. So that is my Dabura Xeno deck. And that's all. Alright boys, that's it for my Dabura Xeno deck list. I know my deck list videos are pretty long compared to most deck list videos, and a lot of people aren't going to want to sit through them, but I figure if you're the type of person that is just going to, you know, click on the video, look for the picture of the deck list, screenshot it, and then build the deck yourself, then you're going to do that anyway, whether I spend time talking about it or not. So you can go ahead and do that. You know, the first couple seconds of the video, you get the whole deck list, that's fine. But if you want to learn about why I chose what I chose, the play line, different things you can do, how the effects work, and really learn about the deck, I talk you through everything. So that's why I do it the way I do it here. I hope you guys like it this way. Drop a comment in the comment section what you think of my deck. Drop a thumbs up if you like my videos and this video specifically. Please check me out on Twitch TV/Dragonball Junkie for live gameplay. I build these decks live on Twitch. I play these decks live on Twitch. I don't net deck nothing. I get a little bit of help from people sometimes on their advice on what they would do, but I do all this stuff live on Twitch. So go check me out there. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you know when I make new videos. Watch the video and playlist I got going, and I will catch you guys later. I'm out. Peace.